Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico at the Creativity Cave, and I've got two super awesome cards to share with you today. They both feature a sponging technique that I just love. It's very subtle, but wonderful. So let's get started. I'm going to start with this Bright Happy card. This features the stamp set, let's see, Tropical Chic, which I have on my desk here somewhere hidden. And I love this stamp set because it is so bright and fun, and it reminds me of warmer days to come, because let's just say right now it is winter, the winter that won't ever let up. So this reminds me of brighter days. And actually, I've made this card for a friend of mine who is having a hard time right now, and I know she's going to love it. So the other stamp set that is featured on here is a celebration stamp set, which is free through the end of this month, which is March 2019, with a $50 purchase, and it's called Part of My Story. It's got some really fun sentiments on here. I love the let's get together and giggle. It's such a fun sentiment, but I really like this one too. Know that today a friend is thinking of you, and this is so perfect. So I'm going to take and stamp these images on a scrap of paper here, and I want to show you how I'm adding kind of some extra color to these very solid stamped images. So I'm going to start with my Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to ink up one of the leaves from the stamp set. So I've got that inked up. I'm going to get rid of this. And then I'm going to take a sponge dauber and another color of ink, in this case Grapefruit Grove. And I'm going to just take my sponge dauber and sponge the edges of this. Now you can do the rock and roll technique, and I'll show you the difference and you can tell me what you think. That's something you might have heard of before, but look at how beautiful that looks. Very subtle, really wonderful. The other thing I love using is my Stampin' Chamois, because it cleans my stamps really quick and easy, and I definitely want to clean them because I'm using two colors. Okay, so now the rock and roll technique is where I would take my stamp and then roll it around like so. Okay, and you do get ink much in the same way, but look at that. That's pretty bold, and it's not subtle at all, but when you sponge it, you get that really nice subtle look. Okay, so I'm going to do that for my two leaves this way, and then I'm going to show you the same technique with some different colors on a couple of other stamps. Now the next one I'm going to do is ink up with Lemon Lime Twist, so that's my lighter color, and then I'll take my Granny Apple Green and do the same thing. Okay, so again, when I sponge versus that rock and roll technique, I definitely get a much more subtle effect, which is so pretty, just like that. Okay, there's one other way you can also add the color to your stamped images, and that is, I'm going to take my stamp. This is a different one. I'm going to ink that up in my Granny Apple Green, and then I'm going to take Shaded Spruce, which is definitely a much darker color. Get rid of some of these ink pads here. And then I've got my Shaded Spruce. Now I take and label my sponge daubers so that I can reuse them. I think it's really helpful to do that. Okay, now in this case, I'm going to just sponge this dark color right in the center, like this, okay? And that will give me another really nice effect, like that. So isn't that fun? Aren't these really awesome colors? Now let's put our card together. I've gone ahead and stamped and die cut all the pieces and parts that I needed. I did ink this and die cut it out of just regular Granny Apple Green. I didn't do any sponging on that one, but I did sponge the rest of them. I also stamped my little hibiscus with just Melon Mambo ink, stamped on white and then die cut. Okay, now to put my card together, what I want to do is, you know what? Actually, I'm going to try something. Hold on. Okay, guys, I have a 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 piece of cardstock. And you'll see on the next card that I embossed it with the subtle embossing folder, which you can see just gives a little bit of texture to your cardstock. And I thought I would try that on my card. Now you can see I didn't do that on the sample that I've got, but we're going to give it a shot here. Okay, so I've got my pieces here. The other part that I want to do is add my sentiment, as I mentioned before. Now my sentiment I'm going to stamp on a scrap of black cardstock. I'm going to use my embossing buddy to put a little of that powder down there so that the embossing powder doesn't stick to it in places I don't want it. And then, like I said, I'll stamp my image in some Versamark, and then we're going to heat emboss it with white powder. Now, I am generally kind of lazy when it comes to heat embossing, but it just really works on this card. I love the pop of black with the white powder on there. Okay, so I've got my stamped image. We'll put some powder on here. There we go. And then I'll heat emboss this. Ah! I just smeared the beginning of this. So what I'm going to do is I dipped it in my powder again, and that is not good. Not too bad. I think I fixed it. Okay, so we'll heat emboss this. I like heating from behind. You can see what you're doing a little better. You can see when the powder melts and then kind of move things along a little faster, which is helpful. There we are. Looking good. Now the other thing I'm going to do is take and punch this with my, I'm not sure. This is the story label. And this was designed to go with this stamp set, and it actually works with a whole bunch of stamp sets. But there we go, and it punches out this cool label. I just love it. This is on our Celebration Coordination promotion for this month, and one of the items on that promotion already sold out. So if you're interested in any of those things, I definitely recommend getting them right away, because they will definitely sell out, and I don't want you to miss anything that you want. Okay, now I'm going to start by building my design here. I'm going to have this one kind of standing up, and then this one standing down but kind of curved off in the other direction. Now whenever I'm building this, I like to kind of set things where I'd like them and then kind of go from there. So you can see I put adhesive on it, but I didn't actually press it down. So right now it's just kind of sitting there, and I want to sort of arrange everything the way I'd like it before I commit to the placement. And then that way I can tell for sure if I like it, if it's looking good, if it's even. And we'll put that right on top in the center. And then, of course, we'll add our hibiscus right in the middle. Oh, I think that looks great. So I'm going to start adhering things down. Okay, so I'm going to press on that piece and that piece because it's got adhesive on it already. I'm already totally digging the fact that I put that subtle embossing folder on my panel because I really like the look of that. And then I'm going to just add these other pieces. And again, I'm not quite sticking them down yet. I'm just sort of setting them there so that if I need to move them around a little bit, I can. I also need to put some dimensionals on the back of my punched piece. And that story label punch is so nice. I think it's really versatile because it could be really fancy or it could be kind of casual. It just depends on what you're doing with it. And that looks pretty good. And now I just realized I put dimensionals on the back of that, but I didn't adhere these down yet. So we'll just lift them up and stick them down. That will work just fine. Oh, I did have some adhesive. Oh, maybe I did have adhesive on the back of these. I just needed to press them down. I don't even know anymore. It's been a crazy, crazy day today. Okay, now I've put a dimension on the very top of my flower, and the reason is because I'm going to set part of it on the already popped up label, and then the rest will sit popped up on my card. So that looks pretty awesome. Okay, to finish this off, I'm going to do just a couple of things. First of all, I've got a 4 by 5¼ inch panel that I'm going to just adhere this piece to. And then I've got a thick white card base that I will adhere everything to popped up. I love the look of this. And while you might wonder why I had that extra layer of white, I think it just makes it look a little fancier, you know? It just makes it a little sturdier and fancier. And we went to all the trouble of stamping and die cutting all these beautiful leaves. So let's make this card pretty awesome. The last thing I'm going to do is embellish it with a few of my basic adhesive backed sequins. This is kind of an iridescent-y one, and I'm just going to take and add a few of these. I had kind of a lot on my sample, so I might tone it down by putting just a few less on this one. But I couldn't decide on the placement, so I just sort of kept going. And I think maybe that might be good, just a few on there. So anyway, there's that card. Now we've still got one more, so let's do our other card. Now this one is definitely a different look. This is going to feature our very beautiful and kind of fancy Painted Seasons stamp set. This is a celebration choice, and you can get this along with a pack of coordinating printed paper for free with a $100 purchase for Stampin' Up. So this is a level 2, whereas the stamp set I showed you earlier was a level 1, that part of my story set. Now, along with this, you can also purchase the coordinating framelits as part of our celebration coordination promotion this month. And these ones are going to sell out too. So definitely, if you want these, make sure you get on that and order them right away. They are a definite not to be missed item. Okay, so for this card, I wanted to create that hydrangea, or I'm sorry, this is a succulent, not a hydrangea. I don't even know where I got that from. I was so worried about saying hydrangea for hibiscus. I think that's what my problem was. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do a little stamping, and again, with some sponging, we can get a really cool effect. Okay, so I'm going to set that just off to the side a little bit and show you what I mean. I'm also going to bring in some scrap paper to protect my work surface because, let's be honest, I can be kind of a messy stamper. Now I'm going to use for this card Gray Granite, Mint Macaron, and Rich Razzleberry. Ooh, I'm not sure what I did with my Rich Razzleberry pad. Ah, it's right here. And this is a great color combination as well. Now for this one, we're going to do kind of the same technique. We're going to start with the light color, which is Mint Macaron in this case, and then to get that beautiful purple tip on our succulent flower plant, whatever this thing is, I'm just going to use Razzleberry on just the very tips. Really, really, really soft and subtle because I don't want this to be too much. Okay. And once you've gone around, and that might not look like much on your stamp, but wait till we stamp it down. And look at how beautiful that is. Just those very tips look so pretty. Okay, so I'm going to continue by stamping that once again without re-inking, and I get a lighter image. Now this is important. We've got that purple on there. We want to clean this stamp before we re-ink and re-stamp. So again, my chamois makes it so quick to do that. All right, and then I'm going to do the same technique, just going around the very, 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 very edges. not hardly even touching the stamp itself. We want to keep it just on the tips. Okay, and then I'll stamp that once again down here, and then I'll do it there, and then a little bit there. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to set that aside as well, and I want to do one more stamping of this on my scrap of white cardstock. So I'll clean it once more, ink it up, and one final round of my stamp or my sponging. Okay. I'm going to stamp that down. And I'm going to take this one and die cut it, so I'll be right back. Okay, so here's my die cut piece. Now I want to complete my card, and to do that, I'm going to do a couple of things. First of all, I stamped my sentiments. My sentiments are from a wonderful stamp set called More Than Words. This is also part of the Celebration Coordination promotion, which is just for the month of March. And I love this stamp set. It's really wonderful. There's tons of really great sayings, and there's kind of combinations of the images in here. So for that, I'm going to take and stamp. Now this time I stamped it on my card here in Rich Razzleberry, but I was thinking it might look nice if I stamped it in the gray granite. So I'm going to try gray granite on this one, and then you can tell me which one you think is best in the comments. Okay, so there's my Bravery. It's definitely lighter. And then I've got the coordinating sentiment that goes with it, which says, "You have so much courage, strength, and then of course it goes with the Bravery." So I'm going to stamp that right there, right on top. Okay. It's a little bit more subtle. Definitely. I'm also going to take this little leaf. This is from the Painted Seasons stamp set, and just stamp this in a few spots. And I stamped it off just to keep it nice and subtle. I didn't want it to be too dark because I really wanted the focus to be on those beautiful succulents. Now this one that I die cut, I'm going to pop up right here, but I wanted to embellish it a little bit. To do that, I'm going to take some of my silver metallic thread, and I'm going to just wind this up a few times around 3 of my fingers and a few times around 4 of my fingers, so they're not all exactly the same in the length. Let me grab my scissors and snip that off. Now I will adhere this to the back of my little succulent here. So I've got some adhesive, and I'm going to kind of just let this get a little bit messy. And I am just sort of tacking this down to the back of my succulent. Okay, so some of these threads are going to stick out, and some of them are going to be behind. I will also pop this up with some dimensionals. And then I'm going to tuck a couple more die cut pieces behind here. Okay, so there we go. Now I've stamped and die cut a couple pieces. So I've got, first of all, some Vellum Leaves, and these are, there is a stamp that coordinates with these, but I just die cut them out of vellum. So I've got a few of these leaves. I think that is a really nice subtle thing to add, is a vellum die cut shape behind something. It's nice because you can kind of add something without it being too, like I said, in your face about it. So I'll put one there, and maybe I'll tuck one down here. And then I'm going to add one of these little leaves, and I'm going to kind of curl it up a little bit. Then I've got one more that I'll maybe stick on the top. And now I'm kind of wondering if I needed that second vellum leaf in here or not. And you know what? That stem was a little long, so I'm going to do a second glue dot, because I folded the first one kind of under. There we go. And I'm going to pull this one out. Haha. I love that I was able to do that. Okay. Now to finish my card up, I'm going to layer this on a piece of Rich Razzleberry cardstock. And then just like our other card, I embossed a panel of Mint Macaron with my subtle embossing folder. And I'm going to add one more embellishment, or one more touch, I guess, which is some of our classic weave ribbon. I'm just going to put a length of it across here and then adhere that on the back side. So that's really simple, a simple little touch. So I'll flip this over and just adhere this. And I kind of like turning it around just to make sure that it's on here straight. Sometimes when I do this on just the back side, it's a little crooked, and so we want it to be nice and straight. Okay, now I'll take and pop this entire panel up on top of my ribbon, and then we'll adhere it to a Mint Macaron card base. So really simple, but very nice looking. And ooh, so pretty. And I think I might like that Razzleberry sentiment better. Like I said, you guys will have to tell me. So we've made two really different cards today. They both are beautiful in their own right. Certainly a little bit different kind of occasions, but I love both of them. So we've got that one. And then, of course, we've got this bright, happy one. So thank you guys so much for stamping with me today. Of course, if any of these items are things you would love to get, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can click all the links in the description of this video. And I also have the dimensions for all of these pieces for you. Again, that's in the description here. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel in that little box right there in the corner, because that way you won't miss any of my awesome videos. The other thing I want to mention is I have online classes for both of these sets. So the painted seasons as well as the tropical chic. And you can find all that information in this description. So click on the little see more and you'll have all that information. Thanks for stamping with me today, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.